Good evening. In preparation for the introduction to our focus season on Sunday, we are looking at Romans verses 1 and 2 in our evening devotions this week. Tonight, in the second one, we're looking at verse 2 that says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world. Do not use the ways of thinking, the views, the values of this world to determine the way in which you are going to live. Rather, be transformed, be renewed by the working in the Spirit, by the working of the Spirit in you. This is a call to be radically changed, to be changed in our core, in our heart of hearts. This is a call that is so much deeper than simply putting on a new mask. This is a call that calls us to be transformed by the Spirit so that what we think and what we do can be the same thing. You see, now the world that we're living in, it has become commonplace to wear a mask, to say that I'm acting politically correct or socially correct. So I do whatever is right in the moment so that I don't get into trouble or so that I can be accepted. But what I do doesn't have anything to do with what is going on in my heart. And therefore you hear so many snide comments about being politically correct or socially correct. What we are called to here is to be transformed by the working of the Spirit in us. Something that we can't do by ourselves. We can't simply adopt new thoughts. We can't just start thinking in a new way and say, I'm going to be positive, or I'm going to harbor these thoughts from now on, and then things are just going to change. Now, I need to be changed by the work of the Spirit in me. This word for change is only used 4 times in the New Testament. 2 of the times it describes the change that Jesus underwent when he experienced the transfiguration on the mountain in the front of his disciples. There we read in Matthew 17 verse 2 that his face shone like the sun and his clothes became as white as the light. In that moment, Jesus was changed. The mask of his humanity was removed so that the disciples could see more of who he truly was as the Son of God. The other 2 places where this word for changed is used is here in Romans 12 and then in 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18, where the change that God brings in us through his Spirit is described. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, "And we who with unveiled faces all reflect the Lord's glory are being transformed, are being changed into his likeness with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord who is the Spirit." You see, to be a Christian is to be continuously transformed, to be changed into the likeness of Christ. This happens when the Spirit removes the mask of our sinfulness and shows Christ to us. And when we see him, we are transformed. The hardness of our hearts is softened so that we can have a heart that is more like the heart of Jesus. The way that we look at this world, the way that we act in this world is changed, transformed by seeing Christ as the living and resurrected one. And therefore, our hearts and our deeds are also changed by that. And therefore, the motto that I am like I am and I'm not going to change, this is just the way that I am, sorry for that, isn't actually the motto or the confession of the believer. It's rather the confession of someone that's living outside of Christ. Someone who has accepted that I simply am who I am. And I am not experiencing the powerful working of the Spirit in me. For us, for the Christian in this life, we can't have or share that motto. Rather, our motto is, I am someone who is continuously being transformed through the renewing of my mind, and it is the Spirit that does this work in me. And in doing this work in me, the Spirit allows me to be able to say that you and I are part of one another. We are part of God's people, called to live together. More on that in the rest of the week. Good evening.